What's up out there? Let's talk about solo self-found. Now, the wiki page defines solo self-found as a character creation flag that marks a character to be unable to interact with other characters, which disables features like trading or partying. I would also say that if you play Trade League and simply don't ever trade with anybody, you're still playing SSF. You're just not trading and you're not ticking that box. So the checkbox can be more of a formality than anything. I think it's mostly there for challenge leagues or for content creators, and that's pretty much why I check the SSF box. For me personally, as a content creator, it does two things. Number one, it eliminates all the people that sit down and say, well, just go off on trade and spend a couple C and get something better. I have a particular reason why I want to do things to learn the game. I don't want to be told, I'll just go buy something off a Trade League. That's not learning the game. That's just going and buying a solution. If you're buying a mirror service, if you're buying a, the 5-way or whatever, if you're buying a carry on a boss or something like that, see, those are things that take away my satisfaction for defeating that content or doing something myself. It's fine if other people do that. I don't care. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to say that that's good, bad, or indifferent. What I'm saying is that when I check that SSF box, that means that I can put in my videos that I play SSF, and I am not here to trade. I am here to learn the game and to get my satisfaction out of the gameplay that I get. So why do I play SSF, or why should you play SSF if you're interested in that? The first answer that comes to mind is that you will learn the game a lot better. You're going to have to learn the mechanics. You're going to have to go into the different parts of the Atlas tree and try different things and learn what comes from where and how to get these different items. How do you get certain uniques? Well, you might have to farm div cards off of certain maps. How do you get currency? Well, you may have to go into different content to get different aspects of that currency. How do you craft? Well, you're going to have to learn how to do all of that yourself because there is no one out there that's going to help. You will play the league longer. If you get burned out on running the treadmill and working the factory of running a map every 18 seconds so that you can sell something off, you don't have to deal with any of that. If you're looking at all the TFT drama that's going on, you can just laugh in SSF and say, whatever, not my problem. It's so, for me, you don't have to, I hear people talking about various trades. Forget all this TFT drama that's going on now. I hear people get ghosted or it takes too long to trade or this, that, and the other. You don't have to deal with any of that. Now, you are making the game a little more difficult. Not more difficult, it's the same content. And this is what blows my mind. I got a comment on one of my videos once that said something to the effect that only people that like streamers that stream 30 hours a day or something like that are the only people that really care about playing SSF. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, we've had single player games and there was a time when we didn't really have the internet. So, we did have a point in time, and we do have single player games today that you grind your own thing out. This isn't like it's making it harder. And if you check the hardcore box, you're definitely making it harder. But just playing in SSF or simply not engaging in trade, whether you tick the box or not, just don't engage in trade, is not making the game harder. You're just having to learn more about the game. So if you want to learn the mechanics, learn how builds work, really learn how builds work, because you're going to have to craft your gear. You're going to have to source the parts. You're going to have to do everything for yourself. You will really learn everything. You will play the league longer. If you're interested in only playing for a couple of weeks and being out and going off onto something else, that's cool too. But this also lets you play the league for far longer, should you choose, because you can have, these are my first goals, and then once I've achieved all those, I can go do these. Now, I'm sure you can do all that in Trade League and everything's good. But I feel like you're shortcutting stuff, especially if you're getting like a carry or something through a boss fight or whatever. To me, I don't want to say that it's cheating, but it's not succeeding and not doing the content. You know what I mean? So you play on your own. You do what you want. This is just my spiel about why I enjoy SSF. And I want to do a few more videos here about how to get currency, how I use the mechanics, stuff like that. We'll do some more videos a little bit more in depth, but I wanted to start off with this video to just explain why I'm playing SSF. And we'll get into all the hows and everything here soon, but Like I said, you don't have to deal with trade drama. You don't have to deal with being ghosted. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. If you both swipe right and then they ghost you on selling something, they don't feel like coming out of a map or whatever. I see those stories and I'm like, man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that. I'm looking at the TFT drama going on. I'm like, yep, I don't have to deal with any of that either. I just can ignore it. And I know you can go to the website and use some other trading, but I'm not interested in trading. When I played RuneScape 3, there was a grand exchange. I only used it for a few things. Most of the time, I could have played Iron Man, which is basically that game's version of SSF. I prefer to just play on my own, do my own thing. I can play at my own pace. I've watched a few money-making videos where people are talking about running maps in a certain cadence, because if you run the map at 18 seconds versus 40 seconds, you're going to make twice the divines and you're going to be able to sell all this stuff off and all. And I'm thinking, none of that sounds appealing. That sounds like some old factory job I had that I only could stand for a couple of months, and I got amazingly bored with it. I like a variety of content. I like doing different things. I like having a goal, achieving that goal, and then picking a new goal and doing that. And I did that last league in the Ancestors League. I went through a bunch of the different mechanics. I'd spec into it and try it and spec out of it, which is another thing that bugs me is when I got a bunch of these comments early on that would say, spec into what you enjoy. And my problem with that, and spec into the Atlas tree into what you enjoy. And my problem with that is, to me, that sounds like all of the content is basically the same and has the same rewards. And that is as far from the truth as you can possibly be. Because as I played the game last league, I went through a variety of different things. Like I spec'd into Ritual for a while. I didn't care for it then. I liked Ritual. I loved it. I loved playing it. But I didn't see how it served me in SSF. So I spec'd into something else. I spec'd into Metamorph at one point, and I learned what catalysts do and how they work. And that was very important because I'd been collecting them and just kind of throwing them in my stash and walking away. I spent the time to actually learn, I'd get a couple of pieces of different currency. I'd actually go try it. What's this do? I learned how the currency worked. I learned how my build got put together because I put it together. I sourced the gear. I sourced all the currency to get it done. I know what it takes to make all that happen. So I learned a lot of things about it. I have used some of the trade philosophy of burning through some maps real quickly. I watch a lot of content creators in a lot of their videos talking about how they do things because I'm trying to figure out how that works for me. Now, I'm not playing in Trade League. I don't want to run a treadmill and just burn through a bunch of maps and spend 6 hours doing 18-second maps. That sounds unappealing to me. But the mindset of running maps really rapidly to advance through, say, the Eater or the Exarch thing, just get the altar to pop and then back out, that's not a bad strategy. I could do that. There's a few maps that I don't like running, but I don't like the boss fight in them, but I could definitely run it long enough to get the altar to pop, burn the map off, and I wouldn't feel guilty about losing that map. So you can learn strategies from Trade League and learn how they apply to SSF. They're just different. It's just a different way of doing it. So another thing about SSF is that you are entirely self-reliant. You have to source your gear. You have to source your currency. You have to learn all the various crafting systems. You don't have to learn all of it. I haven't worked my way through the more difficult crafting yet, but I've definitely learned a lot about how crafting works, a lot about how the inner workings of the game work. I've learned how a couple of different builds work. Like I've spent some real time with Righteous Fire last league and now Bone Shatter this league. So I've got a really good understanding of how my build works, the gear that goes into it. I don't just go off and buy something that somebody gives me a shopping list and I go buy it. I go build it. And that's my biggest selling factor for playing Solo Self-Found is that you are going to learn a lot about the game. It may be frustrating for some people, sure, but you're going to learn a lot about the game. You're going to learn a lot about your build, about currency gathering, about how to play. So those are all the positive things on why I would recommend Solo Self-Found. Why would you not want to play Solo Self-Found? Now, this one's probably going to be obvious to a lot of people because a lot of people just don't like that game style. They want to be able to go trade. They want to be able to hit the Ubers in week 2 or 3 of the league and be able to just down everything. And they're going off and getting the finest gear possible. And they don't want that challenge, that extra challenge of trying to go find everything and source everything. And Path of Exile does have a very steep learning curve, and it might be too much to try to top all the other stuff on top, put all the other sourcing your own materials and learning crafting and all that. That may be too much for some people. And, there's certain things you're just probably not going to do. Like Ubers are probably off the list. Are they completely off the list? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure there's people that have gone through SSF, beat the Ubers, and moved on. I hope to do that one day myself. It is not something I'm going to reach this league. It's definitely something I didn't reach last league. But there's always something else to strive for. So it is a little bit more difficult in that you have to go find things yourself. You have to go figure out which boss fights to do, which maps to run, which this, that, and the other. You can't just go buy it. But some would view that as rewarding. Some would view that as challenging and, fun. So to close all of this out, in my opinion, solo self-found is very rewarding. It's very fun. I've learned a ton about the game. I've learned a lot more about the game now than I think I ever could have learned just in Trade League. I mean, if I could just go buy a solution, get a carry on something, I would never have to learn that content. I would just go pay my carry and then move on, which to some people that might be a good thing. I don't like that. I like to do things myself. I'm a very DIY kind of person. I would rather try something myself. And if I can't get it done, then I'll pay somebody else to do it. But I would like to try it myself. There's no trade drama in SSF. I'm watching all this stuff and I'm blasting off and watching videos. And I'm just sitting back with popcorn going, yep, not my problem. I don't have to deal with any of this TFT stuff or any of the being ghosted on trades or any of that. I mean, I might ghost myself or something, but that's on me. I can play on my own schedule. I don't have to deal with running a treadmill or worrying about whether somebody's online to trade or any of that stuff. If I want something, I go get it. Or I decide it's not worth going to get because it's either something beyond my capabilities or just too much of a hassle and I just give up on it. I've had zero issues getting the stuff that I want done. And what I've noticed is that I've played the game far better as, you get experience in the game, you play better and better and better, but I'm really learning how my builds are put together. I'm learning how the different mechanics work. I'm getting faster on my campaign clears. I've made sure to do a league start for every different challenge league we've got. There was one I skipped, but all these different challenge leagues that pop up, I at least try them out, see how they go. And for the most part, I've been spending as much time trying to learn the game as possible. And for me, it's just more rewarding in solo self-found than dealing with any of the other hassle of all the trade leagues and all that stuff. So, is solo self-found right for you? That's for you to decide. I have laid out my case for it in here. I will be having some videos about what mechanics I run, why I run them, why I don't run some. I'm going to have another video about how I make currency and everything like that and where to go get certain things. So if you're interested in playing SSF or interested in how some of these things work for me or my opinion on those, I will have some videos out here shortly that go over currency, the league mechanics and stuff like that. And maybe more. We'll see what develops. This is going to be an ongoing series. I do play SSF that's just I'm playing SSF from this point forward. I really have no interest in Trade League. And as mentioned earlier, if I didn't mention it earlier, the reason I tick the box on SSF is because I'm a content creator and because I want to have that, if you want to call it a quality assurance on my videos that say, this is for good or bad, this is SSF. I played this solo self-found. I made all my gear. It may suck, but I made it and I'm proud of it because I've gotten through this, and this in the game. And I've got these plans to do that, and that. And we're going to, try to get there. So I have not downed the Maven yet. It's on my list to do. And I haven't downed Uber Elder yet or Uber or the Uber versions of any of that. That's all on the to-do list. Hopefully we'll get there someday, but if not, that's all part of the journey. So anyway, hopefully this has helped you decide if you're interested in solo self-found or not. Hopefully it's helped out in some way. And that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.